All right, so I have a question for the fellas. You guys say you want modest women, modest in how she looks, how she dresses, how she acts. You don't like all the fake hair, the fake lashes, the long nails, all the makeup. Yet, if your modest woman that you have were to check your Instagram activity, it shows that you're liking, following, commenting, subscribing to half-naked women that have fake hair, fake lashes, fake teeth, fake boobs, fake everything. Help me understand this. Are you that guy that has the modest woman, but you prefer to look at women on social media that's half naked and voluptuous? Are you the woman, the modest woman that's dating a guy who's looking at these women and it's causing you to feel insecure as though you have to compete with them, though you have him? Let's talk about it in the comments. Fellas, why not encourage your woman to look like the woman you really want on social media? BBL and all. I'll meet you there in the comments, guys.
Shalom, 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 alaikum, Yashara. We're not lost, but scattered, and hey to the Gentiles that are following after Yah's righteousness. It is KBC. King Brittany Chanel means the king comes before me. A king is a descendant and a ruler of a divine race, a divine people. That people being Yashara. And let's get into the topic at hand. Y'all know that on this channel, I tend to talk about modesty because that is the ministry that the Most High put in me to bring to y'all, because the majority of the sins of Yasharah were tied back to vanity and idolatry, right? Because behind a lot of this stuff is vanity. So modesty is the fleeing of vanity. And that is how you get closer to the Father, because the more you leave that behind, the closer that you can get to the Father, because he's not going to want to be in the presence of all of that idolatry and wickedness, okay? You have to flee that, and then the Father can dwell in with you being around, okay? He can reside in you when you make that space clean, fresh, clear, and throw out all the old junk that your forefathers were doing. And a lot of Yasharelites, they're always like, excuse me, they're always like, oh, David was doing this, and so-and-so was doing this. Just open up the book of Kings and see how many kings we had over our people, and how many of them where it said such and such did evil in the sight of Yah, and Yah was not pleased. Just look at how many of them. So yeah, our ancestors were doing certain things. That doesn't mean that we are meant to repeat those same things, because we are meant to learn from their past mistakes, and really get the inspiration of how we are to get closer to Abba Yah and really understand the error of their ways, so that we can better repent and repent sincerely, okay, and not make those same mistakes in the present. Okay, cool. Now I got that. All right. So the video that we're talking about today, now that we've got that out of the way, is a video where there is a young lady, and she is speaking on modesty. And she's like, men say they want a modest woman, but when they get on their social media page or their Instagram, they're looking at all these BBL and fake hair attachment type of chicks. And she's saying, if they really wanted modest women, why are they doing this? Why are they participating in this behavior? And it's a double-sided answer. So in the Torah, it says the reward for a wicked man is a what? A wicked woman. Because modesty is not just outward. It's not just you having on a bunch of clothing. Modesty is a thought process. It is the fleeing of vanity. It is giving up worldly things and following after righteousness. So there's a lot of women that they might veil, they might, because there's some women that they participate from the Euro perspective of modesty, And on this channel, we're examining modesty from the Hebraic perspective. So this is for the people who are disciples of Yah. Disciples are disciplined in the things of Torah, which are the instructions of Yah. People that are following the way, following HaMashiach and his, teachings and practices, and the blueprint that gets you a great relationship and a sincere relationship with the Father. So basically, like HaMashiach always led you back to the Father, that's what we're doing. So modesty, the narrow path, will always lead you back to your Father. Like the prodigal son, you are returning. You're humbling yourself. That is what modesty is. You're humbling yourself. You're knowing that you are a creation of the Most High Yah. And especially if you are Yasharelite, you were chosen. So you were called, you were chosen. And inside of the Yasharelites, there is the set apart within Yasharah. Because a lot of people, they run around, oh, I'm chosen, I'm this, I'm that. And you, baby, when you're chosen, it is a very painful process. So the people that's really chosen, they're not out here bragging that they're chosen. They have very painful experiences, because in order for you to gain authority and the things of HaMashiach and the things of Yah, you have to go through pain and be tried in the fire. And I can tell you, it's a lot of folks yelling out there, such and such 19 and all that. It's power in the base of their voice, but they don't have no power in the spirit realm. They don't have no authority in the spirit realm. And they running around, I could just say Jesus at the last minute, or I could just say this in the last hour. And them demons going to be looking at them like, Jesus, I know, Paul, I know, but who are you? Because they don't have the authority to activate their relationship with HaMashiach so that those angels could activate to actually protect them from things. Or so that they could actually be protected by Yah, because they don't have that relationship. It's the same as human relationships, right? Nobody's going to act for you just because you just say their name in the street. They're like, who are you? We've never had a relationship before. So it's the same. If heaven don't have that, you got a relationship with Yah on file. So I'm saying this as the foundation of this video, because there's a lot of people running around having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. And this is the type of man that this young lady in the video was talking about. They're with their mouth saying they're a man of Elohim, with their mouth saying they know a bunch of scriptures. They're very religious. They're very religious. So that demonic spirit that they really have, that pharisaical spirit, that it craves innocence. It craves pure. It craves righteousness, because they want to use righteousness to validate the fact that they're not righteous, right? So this is why you see a lot of men who are really messed up. They'll go and get a woman who is that, woman that is trustworthy in the community. They always try to get a woman to soften up the wickedness that they're doing. That's why, ladies, if you are a virtuous woman or a modest woman, you have to be very, very, very careful, because there are a lot of demonic men out there that they want to use your virtue in your relationship with Yah to kind of attract people to them, because they don't actually have light. So these men, they go around and they fake like they're into Yah. They fake, they read a bunch of scriptures, they yell. These are the men that are loud with their loud mouths, but they cannot call for fire from the Shamayim. This is what I'm talking about. So when this lady is saying that there's a lot of men who they say they want a modest woman, but are on stuff like Instagram looking at big booty pictures, this is because there's wickedness in their heart. They're not really a righteous man. And I want to also answer the other part of what the young lady was saying on the video. I don't like when women get up here and they say all men, or even when men say all women, because there's a lot of evil and wickedness in the world, but there are righteous people, including men, that are in the world. And that doesn't mean that they're perfect people, because you obviously, you know, that there's a lot of people that in the Torah that were considered righteous, but they were not always perfect. But the part that was perfect about them is the fact that they were hungry and they craved a relationship with Yah. And they, even when they did fall short, they were modest in knowing to humble themselves before the Father. They knew that in their own power, they were not able to do this thing called life alone. So it's with the ruach that the Father gives you that you're able to be guided and navigated through. It's the dying of flesh, the dying of self. See, we flee in vanity with this. The dying of self that allows you to be strong. It's you allowing the Most High to just kind of strip you down to the bottom for him to rebuild you in your character, and going through trials and tests so that you are built up as a strong warrior. And you only do that, you only survive that and gain authority in the spirit realm when you are chosen. Because it's a lot of people that run around, oh, I was called. There's a lot of people that, oh, I was called. Ain't even answer that call. They have not made it to the other levels, the other steps. So there's people that have a form. I say that to say there's people that have a form of godliness. And so, of course, the moral thing is you would like a woman that is a lady. But inside of them, these men is really pharisaical, and really not all men. The men that she's particularly talking about, really wicked. They have a taste for lust. They have a taste for adultery. They have a taste for whoredom. They have a taste for fornication. And I told y'all this before. You want to know what kind of man that you dealing with, get on the Instagram. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm a spiritual person. So all that come on my timeline is nothing but Yasharelite stuff, spiritual stuff, herbs, gardening. All that big booty picture stuff don't come, ratchet stuff don't come on my page. So if it's constantly, even if you look at the type of women that he's following, that should tell you all you need to know. It's a wicked man at heart. Okay, so basically, like I was saying, you all, a wicked man is going to attract a wicked woman, because that demon is going to lust after a woman that is presenting herself wickedly, who is not following after righteousness or modesty. So even though that man could with his mouth lie and say he does want a virtuous or modest woman for his own selfish purposes, to advance himself, like I said, to gain because people in typically in positions of virtue or leadership type of positions, they'll use a woman, like I said, to soften their appearance, right? This is why presidents, they have a first lady. This is why a lot of pastors, they have a wife. People are genuinely more trustworthy of that family unit than they are with a man single. Because they know it's going to be, you know, if the man is not righteous, it's going to be drama with that. So a lot of these men, like I said, they go after modest women to kind of hide themselves. And y'all will see it on here. The wicked men, there's some so-called Yasharelite men up here. They talk about, you know, Yah, but then have women lustfully dancing on screens behind them. And knowing that the Most High, and then Gentile women at that, strange women on screens, lustfully dancing and swaying and belly dancing and all stuff on the screens behind them. So you'll see that. Or dudes with they big bird beak in the camera, and they telling you stuff like, you know, making broad statements like women are witches and all kind of stuff that they get into. right? And none of this stuff that they're talking about is biblical. A lot of these men, they'll profess with their mouth that they want a Proverbs 31, but then the same way how they rejected the Messiah, they reject the Proverbs 31 because pretty much the Modest in Proverbs 31, that woman is going to challenge you. It is going to help mold you and enlarge your territory, and it's going to add unto you. That woman possesses what you need to advance to your next level, because wisdom is a gift from the Most High. The same way Adam, his rib was taken out because the Most High looked at him, he was lonely, and the Most High gifted him in compassion woman. He said, "Oh, my child is lonely. He's not feeling how I want him to, really feel." No father wants to see his son in a sad state. So the gift from the Father in his compassion for man was to give him the gift of a woman. This is why when you see men running around talking about they're the prize, that they're out of order.
So basically, in a nutshell, there are wicked men who would prefer looking at women not clothed online. And a lot of men do try to fancy it up that they're not interested in that, but they're secretly dealing with lust demons and unclean spirits. There's a lot of men who they are into those type of things like sensual content and the rest of that stuff, and they try to pass it off like, oh, that's just being a man, when the Most High clearly states what is clean and what is unclean. Okay, but there's also women in participation of lust and perverse things as well. This is why you see women online doing these things and then confused that they're attracting wicked, demonic, lust driven men, because that's the bait that they're putting out. So seduction leads to demons looking at the seduction. That's who wants to see that. But what I think is not fair that a lot of people do is that they try to say all men or all women in their statements. And we cannot keep broadly generalizing people. There are righteous men who are not interested in this particular content. Now, because there is a lot of wicked people in the world, but there's more with us than it is with them. So there are righteous men who will look at this particular type of content, because a lot of women believe that there's not men like this that exist. But I have encountered righteous men who they're not interested in seeing a random woman who they're not interested in, they don't know anything about. They're not interested in seeing her without clothing on. And I know that's a hard thing for some women to fathom, because the world has taught them that all they have to offer is leading with their sensuality, and they think that that is liberation when that is really bondage. And they think that that is finding themselves when that's really finding themselves in the snare of the fowler. So they don't, a lot of these women, they're so damaged because they're not getting deliverance and taking time to get closer to the Father. They're coming up with doctrines like they're child free, solo trips, solo this. And you have to even be careful with the self love concept, because, yes, self love to a certain extent, but you have to spend time with the Father to determine what is healthy, because a lot of this stuff is coming from damaged women or women that deal with witchcraft, and they're perpetuating this stuff, and telling women to embrace doctrines that are against their higher purpose that the Most High Yah put them here for. They're telling these women, the Most High created women with reproductive organs to go forth and multiply, be fruitful and multiply. The man, helps in that process, and he has given a woman as the gift to his sons so that they can have a prosperous nuclear family unit, to go forth and multiply. and under the coverage of marriage that the Most High oversees. And a lot of people today, they take the institution of marriage for granted. They take Abba Yah for granted. They take just life for granted. And then you have these wicked women out here, a lot of them teaching witchcraft. A lot of women have not found themselves because they don't really truly know the purpose of what really being a woman is, because they're being bombarded with images of this hot girl summer, and you know you could just lead with your sensuality, and it's leading them to bondage. It's leading them to a miserable life, and they're making childbearing like it's a burden. They're doing a bunch of stuff that is leading women down a wicked path. They're teaching them to alter themselves, to be somebody else, to pervert the image of Yah. And this is why you see a lot of women online where they're boring. They constantly lead with their sensuality, and then when they're running righteous men off. And I'm not saying that there's, because a lot of these women that are in participation of these vain beauty rituals, they're really not coming across righteous men, because righteous men are going in the opposite direction. They're turned off by the hypersensuality, because if you're doing that online, who else are you doing that with? So they're not really interested in a woman in a fallen state or a defiled state. And I'm not saying that, my sisters that are out there, if you are in participation of beauty rituals, if you are in participation of this culture of just put it all out there, that you can't rein it back in, or the Most High will help you to rein it back in. Repent and rein that wickedness back in, to where you get rid of it, and shed that old you, shed that old skin, and be born again as a new creation in Hamashiach. Okay, so I'm not saying that it's not possible for that, because the men that are wickedly saying that it's not possible for these people to be given a new life is crazy. At any time, you can stop sin. At any time. Don't wait until the clock, ticks and it's over. Well, what I mean is strikes and it's over, where the clock runs out. Don't wait for that time. Don't wait to the end of your life to be like, okay, I'm living my life reckless, and at the end I'm just going to say, Daddy Jesus, fix it. That's not going to work. Choose ye this day who you're going to serve. But to answer her question, all men are not interested in women that are online without clothing. And it's a lot of women that keep pushing this. A lot of women keep pushing, oh, they don't really want somebody that's modest. I'm a good woman, da 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 da. And then we can go down their page and see what kind of content they're putting out. And they have stuff like, they're putting stuff up like Christian scriptures, and then they got gym photos with no clothes on. The two don't mix. Abba's not going to send you a righteous man when you're trying to bait men with seduction. That is witchcraft. You're not showing him that you're ready. He's not going to send you a righteous man when you're preparing yourself to be solo. You're not in preparation to meet the king. When I say in preparation to meet the king, I mean preparing yourself for him. That is practice for you to prepare yourself in other things. Because when you spend time with Abba, not taking yourself on solo dates and the rest of that, go to the prayer closet and have time with Abba. Read the Bible. That is how you prepare yourself and get closer to Yah. Because preparing yourself to be single, y'all ladies are putting a curse on yourselves, and you don't even realize that. We know clearly that you do not want to be single, and there's nothing wrong with being content with yourself until Yah sends you your husband. But getting into these wicked doctrines that these women are putting out, it's not the will of Yah for you to be sitting there single without a covering, without a husband. That's not his will for you. It's not his will for you to be running around talking about, oh, child-free life, and even the women who they may be suffering from medical things where they can't um bear children, the ultimate will of Yah was for them to be capable, and they were given the tools to be capable to do so. And in finding higher purpose, women, when you, because a lot of women are making stuff like sacrifice seem like it's a bad thing as a woman. And sacrifice is what ascends you to womanhood when you realize that there is a higher purpose than yourself. Even with men, sacrifice is what gets them, pushes a man into manhood, because when you don't have higher purpose or a reason to be a better version of yourself, you don't go to those new heights because you're comfortable. In order to grow, you have to be in disequilibrium, and then Yah puts you in equilibrium. So you go through those trials, that's the disequilibrium, and he tests you, and he tries you in the fire, he tests you, and then boom, you reach a new height. That is, he's teaching you love truly, because a lot of people use that word love and they don't really understand that love is sacrifice. Look at all that Yah has sacrificed for us, his bride. Look at all that he has sacrificed. So he gives us different characteristics that he has in his children. The man sacrifices in different ways to ascend to manhood, and so does the woman. And the problem is that we're in a society where they keep us in a egocentric youth like state for too long, and we never reach maturity. And this is why you have these conversations going on where you have men in a youthful state being driven by lust instead of maturity, where you're choosing a woman based off of what you actually need to grow as a man. And when I think about this, I think about, y'all should really watch MLK and X, where it's showing Malcolm X's life, and he has time with the fun girl that he goes to the juke joints with, but he ultimately knows that the fun girl is not the woman that is going to help him ascend into manhood. He knows this inwardly, because ultimately men really just do not really, any man that's a real man who is ascended to manhood and who knows that he has a purpose is not looking for the fun time girl. They're not. And if women really want to be taken serious, they would take their power back and walk in righteousness. Clothe yourself in righteousness. Respect yourself. Know that you are more than just your secret parts or your sensuality. That's only one aspect of yourself. That is not the whole broad brush of your femininity. And I'm so tired of them constantly pushing that like that is so. But I want to know your thoughts though. Um, she is, the lady on the video is correct to a certain extent. There's wicked men who secretly are indulging in sin, and they follow these type of women. And if you are noticing that a man is looking at that, or you might be one of those women that are in participation, that is lust trapping these dudes. And as I stated, a wicked reward for a wicked man is a wicked woman. So it's kind of like we have to look at this from that perspective as well. Leave your comments in the comment section below. It's KBC. See y'all soon on the next video.